You've found Find Your Flock, Season 2. I'm Dr. Sandra Clavijo. Join me as we hear how students turn curiosity into careers that make an impact. Today's guests are current students from the Systems and Engineering Department. Please welcome Salomé and Aliona. Welcome to Find Your Flock.
Hi, good
Thanks for having
afternoon.
me.
So happy to have you here. Why don't we start with some quick introductions? Why don't you tell us who you are, your year at Stevens, and how you first discovered ISE?
Okay, I can start. My name is Salomé Orozco. I'm a 3 out of 4 industrial engineering major here at Stevens. I discovered industrial engineering through personal research. If you would have, a few years ago, you told me I would be an industrial engineer, I probably wouldn't have believed you. I wanted to do computer engineering, mechanical engineering, just a little bit about everything, but through personal research, I kind of discovered that industrial engineering is really broad, flexible, and then I can work in pretty much anything, whether that was like on site or if I wanted to work in an office. ISC kind of gave me a little bit of both, also involving like the business aspect, which I really loved. Yeah.
Awesome. Alonia, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Aliona. I'm an industrial and systems engineering major. I'm a senior. And same thing, I also did some research when I had to pick a major for in high school. And really what I thought was, well, I like programming, but then little by little I was looking into computer engineering, which was more like um, it was engineering, so I had an idea and a definition of engineering being more hands-on and like physical designs. So I thought, okay, well, systems engineering seems like it's really like a good combination of working with different physical systems and making sure everything works together. And I just thought that having that big picture mindset and being able to oversee a project, but on a technical aspect was what I liked. And then fast forward now those years, I just realized systems engineering is so broad and it's not just like hardware systems, but it could be also software systems. And then I discovered a whole new world of like everything being integrated between software and hardware. So I really like this pod. It's a really good place to be in for engineering.
Awesome. So, I know you're at different years here. So, right now, what would you say are the favorite courses or professors that you've had, and that have had the biggest impact on your studies so far?
How about, yeah, Salo, you can go first as a junior. Go ahead.
Okay. My favorite class at Stevens so far has been design of dynamical structures. This class kind of like took me by surprise because it's more of like an electrical engineering course. But for me, it was something that I feel like could be applied to ISC just with like, different systems and everything. And I really love how electrical engineering, whether and like mechanical engineering or just like any engineering field in general applies to ISC. Um, our professor was Professor Mahmoud, which has honestly been the best professor I've had here at Stevens. He always directed us and called us like his colleagues, which is kind of like a sign of respect, but also he was one of those professors that cared about his students and loved like everyone to kind of like engage in his lectures and everything. So that has been like my favorite class so far, as well as data infrastructures, learning the basics of like Python, whether that's like C++, but also like SQL and how that ties to like supply chain and just like kind of filtering out large numbers of data. That's something that I really love. So
Right. So, compare and contrast. What are we thinking now as we've gotten into senior level classes?
I actually took a class that Salome is going to take very soon, which is in junior year, your spring semester. It's called Introduction to Systems Engineering. It gets to be a grad class that you end up taking still as an undergraduate student, but in your upperclassman year. And this class, at least was in my year, was taught by Professor Kishore Pochiraju. So not only I can say a lot about the professor, but first I can talk about the class. I really liked it because it immerses you in like this project-based class. And systems engineering is all about overseeing a project from the beginning all the way to the end, and like also making like maintaining it. So this class was really fun because you were to be in a group, so different engineering majors. In this case, I was also with software engineers, but we all had the goal of overseeing a project, and we could pick it from a list that the professor gave us. And that one was specifically in the space industry. So it was really fun because that's also like an industry I'm interested in diving into. And I really like the fact that Professor Puchiraju had some like mechanical engineering experience. So he was able to be coming from an industry and give some knowledge and help us understand how a project really works in the real world and what are the things from requirements building to testing and validation that are needed. And it was really very like detail oriented, so I really liked the class. I have to say Salome had a good point. I really like also like Professor Mahmoud's classes. His classes are really good. I think as a professor you can tell he likes to teach, and same thing for Professor Pochiraju. And I just liked also the electrical engineering like aspects. So understanding systems of systems in like the computer is also one of my interests. So I definitely had also like a liking for that class.
That's awesome. So we've talked a little bit about how classes and some of the hands-on learning has shaped your perspectives, but any other co-op or internships or research experiences that have helped you see how ISE applies in the real world? Any other kind of thoughts there? I mean, we mentioned the aerospace industry, but ISE is broad. So, I mean, even starting in like, you have to figure out now, what industry. So, how are you guys learning about the different industries that it can connect to?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about my internship. I currently work as a sustainability and transportation intern here at Stevens, and it's kind of like surprising how ISC really falls into like everything, whether that's like the smallest thing, like sustainability. But I love I love about it is that like I get to work on like many different projects, and just like analyzing the process itself. I feel like you really get to understand how everything works and like how everything is like integrated together. Because a lot of the times you look at something and you're like, wow, like, how do they make this? Like, what are the specific things that you need or like supply chain and things like that. So I feel like for that, it teaches me to be more creative and like to communicate better and just to like get to know a little bit more about like integrating systems in like such a small like department.
So I had like a little different experience in terms more like there's industrial, but there's also systems engineering side in our major. This summer I was partaking in a research at University of Michigan that is systems engineering oriented, but in the aerospace department there. So it was really tailored to that department. I picked it specifically because I've been trying to get into that industry, and specifically this summer, we were looking at the air traffic flow of airports. So that itself is a system, and how like planes, uh, navigate through different locations in the air traffic system, and also how humans contribute to that system. So there's a discipline in industrial and systems engineering called human factors, and it's also called sometimes ergonomics. And that really basically studies that part, like the human factors that can be found in the system. So it's very important nowadays, even though with like the increase of technology, seeing how humans are interacting with that technology in air traffic flow itself. We were specifically looking at air traffic controllers and trying to monitor the fatigue. So that was really interesting to see, and I realized that that opened up a cross-disciplinary, I guess, work or study, which is related to math. And actually, industrial and systems engineering has its own math. And I think Salome and I, we took some of those classes involving linear programming. And then there's even more like stochastic probability. Those are math that are useful in our like modeling when you create systems, like for example, the air traffic flow. those are math, like to see how you can optimize and make it faster, make it better, make it safer. So I realize a lot of things are cross-disciplinary in systems engineering. And I mean, yes, you can jump from industries to industries, like this one was aerospace, but also the knowledge is also applicable. And we had different students in this research with me, and I really like working with them. Yeah, some of them were math majors. So it's really good to see that you need systems design and system thinking in many engineering disciplines, like air traffic flow, for example, or like in airports, but also you need to bring some other skills like math, programming, stuff like that. So I really like that, and that's what I learned this summer. Yeah.
That's awesome. I was going to ask a little bit about the people side of ISE since human systems are, so important and just, understanding how they're connecting with design and data. So that's a really awesome example. So thanks for sharing that. I remember once one of your professors in that department, we were talking about something and I said I got lost at an airport and they were like, well, that's not your fault. That was the designer's fault. And I will always think about that when I'm in airports if I can't follow the signs. I always think about there was a systems engineer somewhere that was helping doing the flow. But yeah, people are, a big factor, and that's probably where probability comes in. That's awesome. So, thinking about the majors you've progressed, Alonia, what advice would you give to Salome here, to take advantage of the next what do we have? 3 more semesters coming around. So, any advice you would give to like your younger self or to a colleague?
To my colleague Salome, I think it's good to, for industrial and systems engineering majors as an undergrad, is really being able to tailor the industry that you want to go into. And I think you already have that. You kind of know where you want to head into, and really like tailor your curriculum based on that. I think we have the opportunity for industrial and systems engineers to take some extra classes for your technical electives that could be more human factors oriented, since I forgot to mention, but I'm taking a class like that, human factors in engineering. But yeah, so classes like those, or if you want to be more software system based, there are software engineering classes or more supply chain. So really trying to get to know what you like to do from projects, from internships, from research. And I really think that will help you, because that you want to take advantage of the classes that you have at Stevens and the connections and stuff like that. So get to do some research. Industrial and systems engineering again is broad, and you will have, I mean, you have a great base at Stevens, but then you want to tailor again your curriculum to your choice. And we also have fun majors that you can mix and match with your systems engineering major.
Yeah, so I mean, speaking of mixing and matching, I don't know what's up next for the two of you. So Salome, have you picked your technical electives yet, or what are you thinking for technical electives? That question's going to you.
Thank you. I have already thought about technical electives. I know Eliana mentioned human factors in engineering. That sounds like a really interesting course that I'm planning to take in the fall semester, just because they don't offer it during the spring. But as far as like my education goes, I'm also doing a minor in finance. So I feel like really with industrial engineering, I love how like it's, very broad and everything, because like right now I'm taking a class in supply chain, and that's like kind of like gaining my interest in like wanting to kind of lean towards finance and like the business world, because it's not really just limited to just like engineering. Like if you wanted to do business, you could. If you wanted to like kind of like be more specific in the business aspect, for me finance is something that like I feel like I want to improve in. And just like working like in a company that kind of gives me a little bit of both things is something that like I want to do, especially because I feel like I want to do so many things. But with finance, I feel like there's not really like a limit, because with supply chain, we can integrate in how you manage your money, how you manage just a lot of things in general, as well as like gaining more skills like in math, even though industrial engineering kind of doesn't really go into like depths if you were to be like a mechanical engineer. But ISC isn't really only about making things like efficient. It's like kind of like designing a system that people can connect with and like understand. So that's something that like for me, I feel like I want to do as like I don't know, like a career path. Obviously that could change, but for right now, I feel like I'm pretty set on like finance and just like getting into the business aspect of like industrial engineering in general. So
Yeah, it's awesome. A lot of students mix and match their minors from our School of Business. So it's a great way to differentiate yourself from other people in your program. Um, um, so Aliona, what are we up? What's up next for you? Are we graduating? Are we amping? Are we doing staying for a master's? Are we looking for the dream job? I mean, I know aerospace is on your mind, so that probably means more schooling, but I don't know. What's up next for you?
Yeah, I'm amping. I like that word. So I'm gonna do an accelerated master's program. We talked about mix and matching. I did a minor in computer engineering because I thought that I wanted to couple my system design thinking, so the big picture of a big system, with more computer engineering embedded systems design, which is like more on the computer side, like much smaller, but how like electronics work together. So that was my interest that I'm going to keep carrying for my master's. I'm going to do computer engineering in embedded systems. And eventually, when I leave college, I want to, bring back that systems engineering mindset that I've been using for research, and I've been, growing since undergrad, and try to find a job that's like in integration engineering, where I can like couple hardware and software and be able to look at a big system and be able to integrate things. So that's my job. That's the job. That's my task for post graduation, something like this. And of course, like one of the industries I'm interested in is yeah, aerospace, defense. I think it's fun. It's just like a world that I'm interested in itself, whether it's planes or like satellites. I've been always fascinated with them, and yeah, just seeing how components work. And I just thought that having a computer engineering like knowledge or background would help me understand the technical aspect. And then when I have systems engineering, it really like adds on to it, so I can have like technical viewpoint, but also a big picture viewpoint. So yeah.
That's amazing. I don't know if a lot of people realize that because our Bachelor of Engineering degrees are so comprehensive, it really allows for masters in almost any program of study. So we always are seeing these mixing and matching. A lot of people do
Yeah.
mechanical engineering and then do systems masters,
Yes, a
systems and
lot.
computer masters. So there's a lot of different pathways. So it's like as you learn more, right, you get to follow the flow of what's interesting to you and kind of stack together those pieces. I did have one question about, I think it's INCOSE, is that right? How we pronounce it? I
Yes,
know you're
yes, it
both
is.
members of INCOSE, and I know that supports the major somewhat. Will you tell our listeners a little bit about INCOSE and what your roles are and why they should join? Maybe this can be a little bit of a pitch.
I'll let Aliona go first since she is a
Oh my God,
president.
of course.
Sorry, Miss President Heights, please. Uh,
So actually, I've sat 2 years ago on the Department of Systems and Enterprises. I guess there were meetings every month, and I was representing the students along with other undergrads. And then we were just talking about, there's software engineering club, and then there's also the engineering management club. What about systems engineering? And I mean, like, we're trying to grow our community as undergraduate systems engineers or industrial and systems engineers. And then there's that huge network from INCOSE. INCOSE itself is a global organization, society that is tailored towards systems engineers. And it's like IEEE for electrical engineers, but for us. And we have a vast network, and again, all from different industries. We have our points of contacts as members of the e-board or members of the org is really talking to some of the people outside in INCOSE that are full-time workers, and some of them are in transportations, other are in software development and stuff like that. So what do we do as Stevens? We're really trying to bridge the gap or trying to connect our professional systems engineers from the working world with the students at Stevens. So it's a professional society, and we're again trying to promote what systems engineering is for undergraduates, for graduates, so that people understand what this major is. Because at an undergraduate level, it's a little hard to understand because again, it's really broad and it really depends on like you being able to project yourself in an industry and say, okay, I want to do like systems and industrial engineering and then like couple it with finance, like Salome's thinking of doing, or supply chain. So it's just trying to give some of those ideas, doing some workshops with students on different topics so that they can see that this is one of the pathways of systems engineering. And even if they choose another major like mechanical engineering in their undergrad, they can understand that this is a pathway to take also in their grad or even like in their jobs. Just because systems engineering, like you mentioned before, mechanical engineers, some of them end up taking systems engineering master's degree here. And it's very common because that kind of like envelops all of their knowledge so that they have a bigger system design thinking. So they can have that pathway too. But yeah, it's we can talk more about the little activities we've been having, Salo. Maybe do you want to talk about what we did this semester and what we're planning on doing?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk a little. I mean, Eliana kind of just like gave a brief overview of
I
like,
tried.
yeah, you know, what like INCOSE stands for and like what we want to do because it is a professional like development. And it's like a professional society as well. But I am the vice president of INCOSE. I joined last semester. So I've been working with like my, you know, my president and like my fellow e-board members to kind of like develop and like just brainstorm for like new activities that we want to do on campus. Right now, we are trying, well, we have an event tomorrow with the Department of Systems Engineering, which I love because, you know, we get to work with like staff on 101 and just like promote systems engineering. And not only do we want to do that, but also like kind of like promote it to other students and like how it relates to CS and like how it relates to computer engineering and all of those things. So some of our events, I mean, we partnered with IEEE and we hosted like a MATLAB workshop, which was really interesting. And we're also working with like the software engineering club. And we're gonna have like a guest speaker. I think he's from Google, I believe. And then
We have a lot, so
have,
many different industries
yes,
that are coming.
yeah.
Systems engineers from the software industry. And we're gonna have so many people coming in. So it's super exciting. Sorry, it's just like I'm
Yeah.
like on top of that event, so
Yeah.
I get like news every day about who's coming. Google, L3 Harris, AT&T. It's awesome. Sorry, Salo.
This is
Oh, I mean,
this
you're
is
in charge
great.
of the event, so like you would know more than I do. But yeah, we kind of just like help students like professionally develop their career, but like also like let them know about systems engineering. It's not just limited to like our department and whether that's like engineering management, software engineer, or industrial. We kind of want it to like expand to like the other department and like other engineering students and like if they're interested in like ever like crossing paths with it, like even in grad school, I feel like that's kind of like what we want to do and like promote and like just show students what ISE is about, systems engineering, and how it's integrated in literally everything that you can think of.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. I'm very excited. I will be checking out your events. See what you guys have going on for the semester. I know students often are always like, how do I work at Google? How do I work at L3 Harris? So these events are always so great to see the different, there's many paths to work at L3 Harris and many
Mhm,
paths to work at Google.
mhm.
So really fun for the students to start connecting with, you know, dream companies or dream industries and work it all out. So we always like to end it on you know, why should a future duck or an undecided freshman engineer, because we know we have a lot of them, almost 100. So why should they choose ISE? Give us your 30-second pitch. Why ISE? Each one of you, and that's how we'll end the Find Your Flock podcast for today.
Okay. I can start. I would say to give ISE a chance. It's kind of like solving a puzzle where like whether that's like people, systems, or just like ideas. I feel like everything really fits together and it flows. We'd like to say, like, in quotation, like if you're good at math and problem solving, but like you don't know which major fits, I would say like ISC is kind of like something that lets you be analytical, it lets you be creative at the same time, and you really learn how systems work, how people fit into them and how to make everything like run smoother. ISC has honestly changed the way that I see the world, the way that I would approach something, or just like how the process works in general. Yeah, and you might not always like see it when it's done right, but everything just works better, and that's what I love most about it.
I think I like the saying of like if you don't really know about what you want to do, but you're good at math, give it a chance. Because like I mentioned, math can be one of the skills you can apply to systems engineering, like I mentioned before with my opportunity, at University of Michigan. So I think it's like if you're good at one of the disciplines, like data analytics, first of all, data science and stuff like that, those will be classes that you will learn at Stevens. You will also learn about like advanced statistics with this degree. And then you're also going to have system design classes. So you are going to be able to have a solid foundation no matter what with this major. And then you're able to, like I said before, mix and match and be able to pick and tailor your industry. So that really is the strength of the industrial and systems engineering degree. And then coupled with the engineering core classes, you are going to be able to work with students in some of the design project classes, like your senior design class, or just even in freshman year, you get to do classes with your other peers, and you just get to learn also, how to work in teams. So that's great. You have like the best of both worlds, like both industrial and systems engineering and like engineering core classes. You don't miss anything.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I want to thank our guests today for sharing all things industrial and systems engineering with us. Um, we hope you guys check out this episode and other episodes on Find Your Flock. Click subscribe, share, and join INCOSE. It's all the time we have. Thanks.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Find Your Flock, Season 2. I'm Dr. Sandra Clavijo. Thanks for joining us as we help future ducks find their path at Stevens. Don't forget to follow and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube, and share this episode with a future duck.